It's pushed me to go into the field of work that I want to go into. Without having a sibling with autism, I would not have known about the world of BCBA, and that's what I'm hoping to do with my future. So I was able to find a passion through having a sibling with autism.
Having an autistic sibling changes your life in ways most people never see. Welcome to My Sibling is Autistic, the podcast where we share real stories, real conversations, and the lived experiences that come from growing up on the sibling side of autism. I'm your host, Christopher Reyes. I am a father of 2 autistic siblings. We live in Clovis, California. We also own an indoor play space for kids of all abilities, including those with autism. In each episode, we talk about the love, the challenges, the misunderstandings, and the moments that shape us when we grow up alongside someone who experiences the world in their own unique way. Whether you're a parent, a sibling, an educator, or someone who just wants to understand autism beyond the stereotypes, this is a space for empathy, learning, and connection. Because every sibling has a story, and these are the ones that need to be heard. So, what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Sophia Kimmel. I am a full-time student Pilates instructor, and I work at We Rock the Spectrum.
Okay, Pilates, and you work for We Rock the Spectrum. So that's that international franchise of sensory gyms, right?
Yes.
Awesome, cool. What are your interests and hobbies outside of Pilates and outside of working?
In all honesty, my interests all fall into both of those 2 categories. I love what I do in both places. I love working with children and families on the spectrum, and I love doing Pilates, and my favorite part is combining the 2 of them. I've taught Pilates to a couple people on the spectrum, and that's what I'm looking to do with my future, where I want to pull the whole Pilates and workout aspect and put it into occupational therapy. So my hobbies all fall into my lines of work currently.
That's awesome. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think physical fitness is one of those forgotten things that kids on the spectrum or any person with special needs, right?
It really is, and I've noticed that I've taught my brother Gabriel Pilates a couple times, and I've seen the difference it makes with him, so I want to be able to make that same difference for other people.
Awesome. Cool. How would you describe Gabriel, your sibling? How would you describe him to someone who's never met Gabriel?
Gabriel is a Dodger fanatic. That is majority of his personality currently. He's a student at Loyola Marymount, and he's high functioning on the spectrum, and I would say that he is also my best friend.
Aw, that's sweet. So he is your friend because you told me that only friends call him gay, but yeah, he is your best friend.
I consider him to be my best friend. He considers me to be his favorite sister, even though there's no other sisters to compete with.
Oh, what a funny guy. Is he funny all the time?
He's very funny all the time. He's a jokester.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So I lived in LA for 10 years. Also a Dodgers fan. So not diehard, but yeah, when I meet Gabriel, I want to ask him about everyone like Otani and
He'll be able to give you everyone's stats. He puts his opinion in it as well. But when you ask for information about it, he likes to give you the lay of the land first, explains everything statistics-wise, and then he shares his opinion about it. But he's got very strong opinions about the Dodgers.
Cool. How old is Gabriel now?
Gabriel's 18.
18. Wow.
Yeah.
The first year of adulthood, right?
First year of adulthood, yeah.
Yeah.
He's already looked like an adult for a while. Everyone thinks I'm the younger sibling. It might just be the facial hair, but yeah. First year of official adulthood.
Yeah, cool, yeah. So what's one thing people often misunderstand about your sibling, about Gabriel?
One thing that I've noticed recently that a lot of people misunderstand is because he's high functioning on the spectrum, a lot of people don't understand that he does still have autism and that Gabriel still is on the spectrum. I think when people think of hearing about somebody being on the spectrum or having autism, they think that there are going to be telltale signs that everyone would be able to notice about someone that shows that they're on the spectrum. But when it comes to high-functioning people with autism, a lot of the times you wouldn't be able to know unless there's signs that you know how to read, just because he's worked so hard with his therapies since he was younger that I don't think that there's a single person who would be able to say, I know that he has autism without hearing the fact that he does.
So Sophia, let's talk about growing up together. I mean, it's only the two of you. No one
Yes.
else in the world.
Hmm.
Two kids growing up together. So, when
Yes.
did you first realize your sibling experienced the world differently?
I first realized that he experienced the world differently when he started therapy, only because I didn't know anything different of having a sibling with or without autism because I didn't have a different experience. So, in all honesty, I learned about Gabriel being on the spectrum because I was jealous of the attention he was getting from him going to therapy, my parents wanting to put more time into him to make sure that he's able to grow and flourish the same way that I was. So, when we were growing up, I didn't realize that he was different until I fully understood what autism was. I just thought that maybe he didn't want to talk as much as I did, or he was a little bit smarter than me. He was able to remember things that I couldn't, way better at spelling than I ever was, and still am, in all honesty. But yeah,
Yeah. So, you realized that he was different roughly around sometime in elementary school or already middle school, or was
I
it
would
later
say
than that?
when he was in elementary school, I would say about second grade, that was really when I started to notice that Gabriel was different, only because I saw the way that other people and other children were reacting to him. And that was where I was able to see, oh, maybe he's different than I am. I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure how it could have happened, but he is different than I am. He had some issues with social skills growing up. It was a lot harder for him to make friends than it was for me. And I just assumed that he was more introverted than I was, and that that was really where it lied. But once my mom opened up We Rock the Spectrum and I started to be around both neurodivergent and neurotypical children his age, I was able to differentiate between the two and really learn that Gabriel is different. But the way that I was raised, I saw his difference more as a superpower. So I thought that he was just way better than I was, which is where the whole jealousy stemmed from. But yeah, I would say when he was in second grade, I was in fifth grade. That's when I started to see that he was different than others of his age, and I was starting to get a better understanding.
Yeah, let's dig into that jealousy feeling that feeling of envy that you had. That did that stop? It stopped eventually, right? At some point as you were
Yeah,
growing up.
once I really understood what autism is and how it played a role in his life, I think that's where I was able to cut ties with the whole jealousy aspect. I think I just wished that we were of equal level of everything, and I always thought that he was above me. And that's why I was jealous, because he was able to get attention that I couldn't. He was able to do things that I wasn't able to do, which there were also things that I could do that he couldn't, but I never really saw those as playing a difference in a role between the two of us. I really just assumed that my parents chose to make a Superman of their son and standard child for their daughter.
Cool, awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what were some of the early memories that stand out in your childhood between you and your brother?
We were always very close, and we still are. Whenever he would go to his therapies, I would come with. He did occupational therapy. I would always try and join in and play on the equipment with him. He would go do art with his therapists. I would try and one up him and do better, not realizing what he was actually doing. I didn't know that this was to help him improve. I just assumed, oh, he gets to go have play dates with a bunch of these people doing these cool things. Why couldn't I go? So I always ended up going with to these things. And so whenever he did any of his therapies, I was always tagging along. And at some point, when his occupational therapist started doing exams for him just to see where his levels were at and how he was doing, I used to always ask them to do it to me. And I remember my mom always told me once I grew up and I was able to understand, I used to beg my mom, asking her why I couldn't have autism, just because autism is seen in such a high part of my life. And it's just, I see it as something way above everyone else. So all of the memories that I had with Gabriel when we were younger were I was doing everything that he was doing, hoping that we could be the same.
Yeah, wow, that's a very what's the word? A lot of insights over there. So, tell me one moment where you felt proud of Gabriel, whether he did an achievement or he reached a certain goal or milestone in his life.
My favorite achievement that I always think of when I think of Gabriel when he was younger was Gabriel was not able to get his words out as fluently as most people. When he spoke, the words weren't put together properly. He needed a lot of speech therapy to get to the point where he's at now to be able to fully communicate his words. I mean, they were in his head, but when they came out of his mouth, he just didn't have the linguistical ability to enunciate his words and just be saying the sounds properly. So once I started hearing Gabriel speak and I was fully able to understand, I mean, I always understood him just because of that sibling bond, but once I was able to fully understand what he was trying to get across through his words, I think that was when I felt most proud, just because, I mean, when you look at children with autism, it's very difficult when they're starting out, when they're younger, to be able to communicate for themselves. I mean, a lot of children use those tablets. A lot of children just aren't able to communicate at all. They can't speak at all. So seeing how much he was able to grow in such a short period of time when he was younger was definitely something that I really enjoyed watching.
Yeah, that's awesome. Such a proud sister, right?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Very proud
yeah,
sister. I brag about him all the time. I mean, not in front of him, because I can't boost his ego too much, but I brag about him whenever he's not there.
yeah. So, being a sibling with a person with autism, how did that influence you? Who you are today?
It's pushed me to go into the field of work that I want to go into. Without having a sibling with autism, I would not have known about the world of BCBA. And that's what I'm hoping to do with my future. So I was able to find a passion through having a sibling with autism. And I feel like I was just able to really connect with everyone in the world now because I'm able to understand what's going on in people's heads. I feel like a lot of people don't understand the way that the autism brain works. And having a sibling with autism, I was able to experience it firsthand. So I was able to get a better understanding and to really just have the ability to take what I've learned from having a sibling with autism and just apply it to the rest of my life.
Yeah, please explain to the listeners what BCBA stands for and what is their primary responsibility.
So BCBA is a board certified behavioral analyst. BCBAs work with children on the spectrum through ABA therapy to just help them improve with their speech, occupational therapy, just getting those motor skills working. It's really just when you meet a kiddo on the spectrum, everyone's at different levels, but your goal when you work through therapy is to help that child have the best way of life possible. And BCBAs are the people who help facilitate that and push them to grow.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I did some RBT training as part of being an owner for We Rock the Spectrum location. So, yeah, there's a lot of professions and jobs available in different capacities in caring for autistic individuals, right?
Yes. There's definitely a lot of them. I would say BCBA is the one where you have the most opportunities to because it starts up top and you can branch out into so many different places. So the reason why I wanted to go into BCBA is because I want to try out each and every one of those categories to find where I want to fit in and where I feel like I could best help individuals on the spectrum.
Awesome. So, Sophia, let's move back to elementary, middle school, high school. Did you ever feel the pressure of being the easy child among you two?
I actually never really did. I think although Gabriel would be considered to be more challenging financially with all of his therapies and with having to work harder to get him to the place where he wants to be, I wasn't an easy child either. So I think that balanced it out. So we were equals.
Yeah, you putting it oversimplifying it is both of you had challenges to your parents. Like both of you have had your own difficult situations, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So right now, 18 years old, you're both adults. How do you and your sibling communicate best? How do you guys like talk to each other on a daily basis?
So I guess with Gen Z loves Snapchat. So I'm always going back and forth with him on Snapchat, but I also see him at home all the time. We talk there. He's big on Fortnite, so I play Fortnite with him to be able to have that bond. Even though he says I'm horrible at the game and he's 10 times better, he's still willing to play with me, which is still a surprise. And then when he's not home and he's in school, because he lives part-time in his dorms at LMU, I'll talk to him on the phone. We'll FaceTime, we'll call, we'll text.
So yeah, speaking of Snapchat and social media, Gabriel's on those multiple platforms, right? He's
Yes.
active in social media,
Yes.
like TikTok and Instagram.
So he uses TikTok to scroll. He doesn't post on TikTok, but he posts on Instagram and he communicates with his friends via Snapchat.
Hmm, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Snapchat was a Gen Z thing. I thought because I'm a millennial, I thought Gen Z were more of the TikTok. Well, I guess you are, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
thought
feel like
Snapchat was. Yeah,
I would say, just from what I've seen, I feel like Gen Z is more obsessed with their phones than millennials, and Snapchat's easy to get addicted to because you're using it for communication. There's a separate section where you can scroll on it as well. There's a camera roll on there, so you can use it as a camera. So I feel like just because Snapchat has multiple aspects that you can put into one app, the Gen Z phone obsessed kiddos love to use it. Myself included. I won't exclude myself on that one. I like to use it to communicate as well. Yeah, I feel like from what I've seen, Gen Z is more addicted to using it, but millennials use it as
awesome. Yeah.
well.
So, how do you advocate for your sibling, or did you have to advocate for Gabriel in public or in social settings? Did you have to step in and um, stop a conversation, or had to explain to people?
There have been times where we'll be out in public, and when Gabriel gets a little bit anxious, his stutter starts to come out a little bit. And recently, I would assume that it's just because people are choosing to learn more about what neurodivergency is. I haven't had to advocate as much when his stutter comes out because waiters in restaurants and people in stores are a lot more patient than they used to be, and they would allow him to communicate without talking over him. Because I feel like when someone with autism is stuttering, or just somebody with a stutter in general, the most challenging part is staying focused on what you're speaking about. And when someone starts to cut you off while you're trying to get your words out, it just resets everything. And a lot of the times when we were younger, he would start to speak, he'd start to stutter, and then people would talk over him, trying to force him to get his words out quicker. So I would always have to explain what his stutter was, how it played into his autism, and what people can do to help him properly communicate. So that was really
Awesome.
when I advocated most. And then when we were in elementary school, there were a couple kiddos who weren't the friendliest with him because he was different. And I played the big sister role. I would have beaten the kiddos up if I could have. I killed them with kindness, explained what everything was going on with Gabriel without making Gabriel seem different. Because I feel like the hardest part, especially with children, is you don't want to be different. Children want to all be the same because they feel like that's how they connect. Adults like being different from one another, but the easiest way for children to connect is through those similarities. And with Gabriel being different, that made it more challenging for him. And he already had that challenge with his social skills as well as his stutter. So helping facilitate a friendship where they're able to understand his differences while still having the ability to just become friends via their similarities was what I really wanted to help him with when it came to school. But he really was able to do it on his own. He's a lot more intelligent than I am. I'll definitely give him that when it comes to school, when it comes to common sense. Gabriel is outstanding, and he really was able to fight his own battles by himself. So really giving him support was what I have been doing since he was younger. That was the way that I helped advocate for him, was supporting him as well as just advocating for people with autism in general, where I want everyone to understand that autism is a spectrum and it's one of many neurodivergencies. So if you're able to understand how that person is different and allow those differences to just be flushed away to be able to build those relationships, I feel like that's the easiest way to help people with autism have the best way of life possible.
Yeah, that's amazing how Gabriel is now able to fend for himself, advocate for himself. It's what
Yeah.
because I'm an autism parent too. It's I hope someday my kids would be like Gabriel, that they would stand up for themselves. The future is hard to figure out at this point, but we're just taking it day by day, and hopefully someday they would be independent and on their own. So
Yeah, my family and I never
yeah,
thought that Gabriel would have gotten there. I mean, when Gabriel was originally diagnosed at 18 months, he was diagnosed severe. He was level 3. And now, if you were to look at him, the only sign that somebody could see that could trace back to autism is his stutter. There's nothing else that would allow someone to know that Gabriel is different than them. So I feel like taking it day by day is the best thing you can do, because as long as you're helping to push them to grow, and help facilitate that growth, then they're able to do it themselves.
Let's talk about family dynamics. How did Gabriel's autism, the diagnosis, growing up, both of you? I mean, how did that shape your family through the years?
Um, I would say that it allowed my family to be more understanding when it comes to my extended family. There's therapists in my family. My grandma was a social worker therapist. My cousin is a licensed family and marriage therapist now. So I feel like although it wasn't directly because of Gabriel, I think understanding the mental and physical differences of somebody, including those who are neurodivergent, allowed for my family to just be more open to everyone in the world. I feel like everyone has those stubborn beliefs, but having someone in your family with autism allows you to be more open to everyone. And I really liked seeing the way that it opened everyone's hearts.
Yeah, that's great. How did your parents support you, Sophia? You yourself, you're growing up. You have a sibling with autism. You mentioned jealousy earlier. As you growing up through school, um, how did they support you? How did your parents support you and tell you? How did they explain everything? How did they make you feel that uh, you know your brother is neurodivergent and and support for you overall?
Yeah, my family really just allowed me to understand what differences Gabriel had and how those differences still allowed us to be equal. I think communication was the biggest thing that my parents did that allowed for me to have the best like relationship possible with Gabriel is they allowed me to understand what was going on in Gabriel's mind, which of course we never know what is, but just based off of the knowledge that we have of autism spectrum, I was able to get that understanding from my parents. So I was able to understand, oh, he's allowed to have this because it's going to help him do something that I already have. Where when he was in speech therapy, I wanted a speech therapist too. I thought it was so cool. But my parents allowed me to understand that Gabriel's goal and what he was working towards when he was having things that were different from me were just working towards him being at the same level that I was already at. So I think although he was getting more attention because of his therapists, my parents gave me that equal attention and maybe even a little bit more to help balance it out so I never felt alone.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're both adults now. How do you balance supporting your sibling while living your own life? And how do you ensure that Gabriel sees that Sophia is still there for me, even though we're both adults now?
Yeah, I talk with him every single day. Even when I'm not home, even when I'm working, I'll always shoot him a text or send him a Snapchat or give him a phone call. And by communicating with him, even when I'm not around, I think it shows him that he always has me there no matter what. And I know that he's always there for me no matter what. He's not the best at communicating over text. He's very short. If I were in a different role and I was his girlfriend, I would think he didn't love me because of the way he writes his messages, but that's just the way that he texts everyone. He's very short and straight to the point, which is also part of his autism. He's straight to the point with what he wants to say. He doesn't drag things on. And just by communicating him with him when I'm not physically present has allowed for him to know that I'm always there. And even when he's not there, I'm always advocating for him and those with autism.
Yeah, the communication is so important. Because once that stops, that everyday messaging through Snapchat and all platforms, there might be a risk of drifting away where it's not going to be as close as before. So yeah, I commend that. I admire that. My brother is neurotypical, and we send what we do. We don't send messages. We just send memes and reels every day to each other, and that's our way of communicating. And yeah, I don't want to lose that. And even when we're in our 50s or 60s, we keep on communicating because when our parents go away, when they die or they just get away from the world, we there's no one else. We have our spouses, we have our partners, but siblings, it's a different type of a bond right there. So yeah. So towards the end of this podcast episode, I just have three questions left.
Yeah.
They're both the same, just to different people. So if your dad was listening to his podcast, what would you say to him? Like, considering everything with Gabriel, and what message do you want to send to your dad?
No, I would just want to thank him for showing the support that he did to Gabriel and for allowing him to help us build the relationship that we have. I think although my dad, when Gabriel was diagnosed, he didn't have as much knowledge as my mom did on autism, just because I am the way my mom is. We love to research. When we hear one little thing about something, we like to go and explore and learn all about it. And I feel like my mom had more knowledge than my dad did when Gabriel was diagnosed. So I'm just grateful that he was able to get the same amount of knowledge as my mom did to help Gabriel become the best man that he could be, and to help me understand the differences between Gabriel and I, and what those differences do to our relationship, how they weaken it, how they strengthen it. And yeah.
And second, your mom this time. If your mom's listening? What would you like to say? What message would you like to tell your mom?
A very big thank you to my mom for giving me all the knowledge that I have about autism and neurodivergent people. If it wasn't for her opening up her gym, I don't think I would have been pushed as far as I have been to want to become a BCBA. By opening herself up and choosing the lifestyle that she did to help Gabriel have the best life possible, she allowed me to find my passion. And she also by doing that, I feel like Gabriel and I got an even stronger relationship by having that time in her gym together, because I just feel like play is one of the best forms of communication for children. And she allowed us to have that by opening up her gym. I mean, she opened up We Rock the Spectrum. She started it in her bedroom for Gabriel and I to play, and then ended up opening up the gym just so that Gabriel and I had a place to be together. She didn't open it up for others. She didn't even realize how much other people needed it. She did it just for the two of us. So I'm just so grateful that she was able to create such a safe place for Gabriel and I. I mean, Gabriel works in the gym now. I manage the gym. So our whole lives stemmed from what she created.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to end this episode, what would you like to tell Gabriel? I don't know if you guys say "I love you" to each other, but what would you tell him if
We do.
If he's listening to this episode?
Yeah, we do say "I love you" to each other. My family's big on saying "I love you." We always like to say we don't know what tomorrow brings, so you want to share how you're feeling the same day that you're feeling it. So we say "I love you" after every phone call, every text correspondence, and whenever we're leaving somewhere, we're leaving the house, we're coming home, "I love you" is always said. But no, what I would say to Gabriel really is I'm very grateful for him for allowing me to be his sister and for allowing me to have the relationship that we do have. I feel like a lot of people aren't as fortunate as him and I to have such a strong bond as siblings. And I know a lot of people struggle to have a bond between a neurodivergent and a neurotypical sibling. So I'm very grateful that he was open and to allowing us to form such a strong bond together, even with his brain working a little bit differently from mine.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sophia, for your time. That was Sophia Kimwell talking about her brother, Gabriel. Thank you for listening to My Sibling is Autistic. If today's episode spoke to you, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who might need it. Your support helps us amplify sibling stories and build a more understanding, inclusive world. You can find clips of the show at We Rock Clovis on social media. Send us a message if you want to be on the podcast. Find resources, episode notes, and ways to get involved at werockclovis.com. Remember, you're not alone. Your experiences matter, and your story is worth telling. Until next time, thanks for being here.